Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very, very special episode of the Oblivion Bar podcast. I am one of your co-hosts here, Chris Hacker, and joining me is my BFF, Aaron Knowles.
Welcome to the void.
God damn it, Cooper. We're already getting on our Cooper bullshit before we started recording today. And Aaron, we're not alone today. We are joined by a recurring guest, the all-time leader in visits here on the Oblivion Bar podcast, and the writer of the upcoming Event Horizon Dark Descent. Again, our just one of our all-time BFFs in the comic book world, Christian Ward. Christian, welcome.
Hello. Reoccurring makes me sound a bit like a rash, like you need to rub a cream on me to make me go away.
every Oh gosh, Aaron found out how to use his soundboard.
Sorry,
I don't even know where to go from that. I literally cannot transition. I have no way. Christian, as I said there in the intro, you are taking on writing duties, or I guess not taking on. You're starting this brand new venture into the Event Horizon universe with Dark Descent. Yeah. And I wanted to chat really quickly. I don't know if I've even said this yet, but everyone, if you clicked on this episode, you probably already know what's happening. We are going to be doing an audio commentary of 1997's Event Horizon.
This is one of my favorite movies. This is one of my favorite movies.
Like all-time favorite?
All-time favorites. And it's funny that you bring this up, of all-time favorites, because when I was a child, I was really sensitive. I'm just gonna say I was a really sensitive child, and I could not watch scary movies. But this is one of those ones where it's like, I'll be fine, and I watch it, and I'm like pissing my bed at until the age of 13. But I still love it.
Whoa. Hang on. When did your parents let you watch this? If you were pissing your bed until the age of 13, when did you watch this?
Let's see. Well, it came out when I was 12 or 11 or 12. So. Yeah, for about yeah. So listen, when Braveheart came out, I had a hard time watching Braveheart. That movie was scary to me.
Freedom. The end is very scary. He gets his wang cut off.
He gets a lot more than that. But anyways, no, I absolutely love this movie. And going into growing up, this movie was still just a terrifying movie. The effects are amazing. We're going to talk about all this, but the effects are amazing. The storyline. Although troublesome, the production troublesome, still came out to be a fantastic cinematic event, and it's been it's one of those ones that's appreciated, but not as appreciated as some other gory movies, things I wouldn't call Jurassic Park necessarily gory, but I would put it up there with its effects being still as good as some of those movies.
Yeah, the practicals are insanely good. And you were talking a minute ago, Aaron, about how you've not really been into horror films. Christian, I think I've heard you say a similar thing before, that even though you've obviously, anyone who's been following your career and, both in comics and other medias, they know that you dabble in the horror genre. But if I remember correctly, you've said before that you're not really a big horror movie fan.
I would say I came late to horror. I didn't really I didn't grow up loving kind of Freddy Krueger or any of those other kind of 80s horror films that I was watched when I was a kid. In fact, I remember I watched Aliens before I watched Alien, because I remember my dad at the time saying Aliens is not as scary as Alien, so he basically told me the whole plot of Alien to catch me up. And then he was just like, okay, you can watch Aliens. And he got me the VHS. He got it out from the rental store. And he said, you can watch it this weekend and I'll take it back on Sunday. And it was just me in the house on my own. I remember they were out shopping or whatever. And I found it so intense that I could only watch it in 10 minutes bursts. And then I had to kind of walk around the house and be like, okay, everything's fine. There's no xenomorphs in here. It's all light. Okay, watch another 10 minutes. And then I found it so tense. But then now, I love horror now, but I'd say what I don't like now, which is interesting because we'll talk about it with this, is I'm not a gore guy.
I think that's what it was. Sorry, I got mixed up there. I think it was the gore aspect of it.
Yeah.
Was the aliens, was the explanation of the alien plot, was that your version of the birds and the bees?
Yeah. Basically, yeah.
When one xenomorph loves another xenomorph.
Yeah, when a xenomorph gets to your face hole.
Yeah.
Okay. I was the same way though. To be honest, I was the same way even going into my 20s, because it was when I first watched Paranormal Activity. You know, I saw that one right after. So when Paranormal Activity came out, it was a limited release, and people had to actually go online and vote for it to be wide release.
Yeah.
And I went to one of the first showings when it went to wide release, and I was walking out of the theater, and I was like, what the hell am I going to do now? Because like I can't go to sleep. Luckily, I got a call because I was acting first sergeant in my unit at the time, so I had to go to work and basically like just rain down hell on a bunch of soldiers that were fucking around in the barracks.
You got to release some of that aggression.
I did. I smoked the shit out of them, and then I went home and I turned all the lights on and I just walked around for a while. I'm like, this is okay. This is fine.
Well, you got dragged out your bed.
Yeah. And there was a bunch of flour powder feet on the floor, you know, like powder, flour, feet, powder. You know,
I think we're speaking to like a larger idea here with like these horror films that haunt you. You guys are talking about how like, and Chris, you were talking about how Aliens was this movie that really stuck with you. Aaron, you're talking about that both with this and with Paranormal Activity. This happened to me, I guess, semi-recently with Hereditary, where it like haunts you for days after. These guys are sitting here. I'm trying to bring us back on topic and make this not a 4-hour long episode. And I got the other two over here just giggling. Yeah, I don't know if you're not watching the YouTube video, you can't see this, everybody.
Sorry.
I'm here for you, listener. These two, Christian Ward, 3-time Eisner winner.
I heard every word.
Okay. Anyway,
I heard every word. I heard every word. Hereditary. Word.
You missed Chris is business Chris right now, and he didn't hear the pineapple Apple Pen.
Event Horizon Dark Descent, Christian. You're the writer of this upcoming series.
Yes.
Comes out on August 20th. Everyone listen to this right now. It is going to be before FOC, which is on July 14th. Christian, before we get into the actual audio commentary of the 1997 Paul W.S. Anderson film, I want to just briefly, sort of let's touch base a little bit on this upcoming series with you and Tristan Jones. I'll just say really briefly before I hand it off to you, Tristan Jones in this book, incredible interiors. Really good.
Let's not forget Pip Martin, who does the colors. Yep. She has killed it.
Alex Ray on letters.
Yeah, that combination of her colors with his like really kind of like striking bold colors with his just like nightmarish, inks. I mean, oh god, it's so yummy.
Yeah,
it's so yummy. Really good stuff.
Agreed. And I wanted to ask you one maybe semi-spoilery question about the first issue. We'll get there here in just a moment, but I want to briefly ask you, how did you get in touch with IDW? How did you and Tristan both get in touch with IDW to eventually continue on with the, I guess, I don't know if this is a spoiler, sort of prequelize the Event Horizon story?
That's known. Like, so basically, so the way it works, obviously, you guys know about Bloodstained Teeth because that's where when we first met doing Bloodstained. When I came on to talk about that, and my editor on Bloodstained Teeth was Heather Antos, who, after working with her, went on to rise for the ranks at IDW and is a senior editor there now. And we met up at New York Comic Con last year, where we hung out a little bit, and we were just kind of catching up as friends do. And she just happened to mention all these new licenses that IDW had got, and she's naming the books, and some of them have been announced, some of them haven't, so I won't say what they are. And then one of them was Event Horizon, and my eyes just lit up, and I just said, "Dude, have you got anyone for that yet? Because I would love to write it." Cut to March of this year, and Nick Nino, who's our editor, sent me an email and just said, are you interested? Obviously, Heather put him on to me, and I was just like, absolutely. And then I had a weekend where I had to watch the film, and I had to come up with a pitch of what the comic would be, and it was pretty loose. I could do basically whatever I really wanted, and came up with an idea. I mean, we'll talk about it when we watch the film, but like within 10-20 minutes, the light bulb went off, and I knew what it was going to be. I kind of wrote up the pitch. I had to do like a treatment, which kind of pertains to the 6 issues, but also a much wider kind of like mythos and kind of like much wider universe. That if this book does really well, we can kind of do more. And then that got sent off to Paramount. The IDW loved it. Heather loved it. Nick loved it. They sent it off to Paramount, who loved it. They sent it to Philip Eisner, who's the screenwriter of this film.
Yeah.
He loved it. And then we
That's
were off to the
amazing.
races. And then they had a few artists in mind for the book. And basically, I was just like, nope, nope, nope. I want Tristan Jones. Because at the time, me and Tristan were actually talking about doing a create your own book. And I got him on, we had a Zoom chat, and I said, look, I know we've got this create your own book kind of in the pipeline, but I've got something else which I think, because he's been wanting to kind of make a return to comics after being away for a while. And I just said, look, I think you'd be perfect for this. The minute I said what it was, he was game, because, like, you know, why wouldn't you be?
Right.
And he's been perfect. And then with Pip, I really wanted to, you know, I've been very fortunate in my career that lots of people have helped me get to where I am. So, you know, I wanted to have someone new to the industry, someone like exciting and fresh, and kind of give them, a cool opportunity. So, you know, and Pip's just been amazing. So yeah, that's how it's happened, really. So they came to me first. I kind of had to come up with a pitch, and then really I just been able to use whatever influence I've got, whatever standing I've got, to kind of like pull together the team that I felt like was the right fit. You know, and IDW have been very supportive. Nick has been very supportive, and yeah, it's been really good so far.
Now, Aaron mentioned a moment ago how this is one of his all-timers, and it's interesting. It feels like we sort of, I know Aaron doesn't really like this term, but like cult classic. And it kind of feels like this movie has.
I like that term. Where are you getting that from?
I've heard you say before, like when we talked about like Demon Knight, Tales of the Crypt, Demon Knight, you were talking about how you don't really like the term crypt or cult classic because it's a term that insinuates that a movie at some point was disliked and then eventually became liked.
I just think that there's certain films that don't necessarily, because like you have classics, then you have cult classics. Sorry, excuse me. And then I'm very passionate about this. You have classics and you have cult. Yeah, you got cult classics, and then you got ones that are just like sleeper hits. Like, I feel that they're like Event Horizon for me is more. It can be a cult classic, but I would feel it's more of a sleeper hit because it wasn't necessarily, at least from my understanding, it wasn't like ill received. It wasn't badly received. It just wasn't.
It was.
It was okay. So
yeah, it was really, really poorly received. Okay. It was. I mean, I was there. Like, I remember you weren't there, man. You don't know what it was like. Like I saw it.
There's egg on my face now. I have no idea.
Yeah. So yeah, opening night, I saw it when I was 21 when I saw it, and and it was I know old, right? And it was really, really badly reviewed, really critically. It did awful at the box office, and it kind of flopped big time. And but obviously that was back in kind of like just the end of VHS and the start of the start of DVD in the kind of like the 90s, 97. Yeah, absolute DVD, not VHS then. And it was really that kind of brought the film back. And I think kind of like, you know, I think the cult classic thing comes from, you know, I don't think I'm kind of like doing the film a disservice by saying there are issues with it, and people do, you know, people kind of people that love it really love it, and like people that can see past the kind of like the production problems that they clearly had can see this that there's something quite special there. But I think kind of the cult classic thing, I think you have to be somebody that kind of like can see past that kind of the problems it has, and it's just it's not really a mainstream film, and you know, and that's kind of why people like us love it, because it is quite idiosyncratic, it's quite different. There's not really been a film like it since, but it was absolutely, it didn't do well at the time.
And I'm still tracking that Amazon and Paramount are still developing a TV show for this as well.
Yeah, I mean, wouldn't be surprised. This is again, as you know, Chris was just saying a moment ago, this is a property that I think people want more of. And to kind of speak of what you're saying there, Christian, a moment ago, I think across the board, you ask cast, you ask Paul W.S. Anderson, you ask anyone who was involved with this film, they will tell you that it was a mess from the beginning. Paramount had their hands all over it. They cut 30 minutes of the film, and then they tried to put out a director's cut, and apparently Paramount wasn't taking proper care of the original film. So like this thing had been screwed since Jump Street, and we'll get into it. But I just wanted to kind of pick your brain, Christian, on like why this was an enticing franchise to get into, and why this was something that when Heather and IDW came to you, you were like, this is it right here. And I totally get why. And we'll talk about it as we're talking through the audio commentary of like moments in this movie where there are clear, hard cut lines where someone outside of the film came in and messed with it. And we'll also talk about sort of the problems with Paul W.S. Anderson as a director and as a filmmaker, who I think Aaron and I, we've been pretty vocal about how the Resident Evil franchise declined very sharply at a certain point, if it ever was good. Mortal Kombat, again, there are films in his filmography that can be discussed. I think he is a director, I think very similar to, and I know Christian's not going to love this statement, I don't even know if Aaron's going to like it, sort of like a Zack Snyder, where like he will have an idea or two that is interesting, and then he will completely self-sabotage in multiple other ways. Do you guys tend to agree there, or am I off base?
Yeah, I can agree with that, because I mean, Zack Snyder is exactly that. He does some amazing work on specific, franchises or properties, and then just goes and does something else that's somebody else loves and just shits the bed. So
or purposely messes with it. Christian, you took a long breath there. What were you gonna say?
Troublesome breath.
First of all, I'm not going to be speaking any bad things about my man Paul W. Anderson about like Event Horizon. I mean, he's basically my boss, right? So
sure.
Yeah, you're not going to get over. But like, I'm not a Zack Snyder fan. Nah.
No, yeah, I get it. Neither are we. That seemed like an apt comparison. I will say one last thing before we get into it. What we're going to do here for everyone listening, if you're like, God damn it, shut up, just let's get into Event Horizon. What we're going to do is we're going to give you a little countdown, and then essentially the way this works is that this episode, you can play this as you're watching the film. So you can have your volume up on your end, but we are not going to be able to play the volume on our end due to copyright. Plus, you want to hear our babbling. So just know we're watching it. We can barely hear the audio on our end, but because we want to discuss it. But Aaron, what were we going to say?
Before we start, I just want to ask Christian one more question. Are you a fan of Warhammer like 40K?
Do you know, no, I'm not. In fact, I was completely unaware of like the whole like kind of weird fan theory connection. Like, completely unaware of it. Because when we announced the book, there was like a Bloody Disgusting did a kind of reel that kind of blew up, and there were people talking about 40K, and I was like, what are they talking about 40K? Like, and I thought they were talking about budget or like how much the film made, and I was just like, what are they talking about 40K? And it was only because like I was just like, somebody asked me to say, oh, do you love 40K? Is this going to connect to 40K? And I was just like, I don't know what you're talking about. So I wasn't aware at all.
For the fans, and we'll talk about this more at the end because this is something I was interested in, was Event Horizon. A lot of the connective, there's not really connective tissue with Warhammer with 40K, that universe, but there's a lot of similarities in some of like the lore and some of the titles and things. So people fan theorize that this is almost a prequel to the Warhammer 40K like universe because of like the Imperium and what the warp is, which is kind of like synonymous with like the void. Mm-hmm. So we'll talk about that at the end.
Yeah. Sorry, one more question, Christian, before we get going. In your first issue of Dark Descent, you reveal a character that we don't see in this film. And I'm just curious, and I'm going to hold it up to the camera if you're not watching this on YouTube. Do you feel, as the writer of this new series, that this guy right here, is this a whole original creation, or is this someone that you think was alluded to in this first film?
It's original.
Okay. All right. That's all we need to say. I just was curious because while watching and thinking about this film, like this, I loved the design. I don't know if you and Tristan worked on that together or if that was yours. Me. Yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it. So
I mean, obviously Tristan drew it and like and infused it with his style. But yeah, he was part that Paimon. It's out there, so like people know Paimon is going to be a very important character in this.
Like Paimon from like Hereditary.
Well, yes and no. Okay. Paimon is an existing demon that exists. I mean,
It's like a Lord of Hell, isn't he? It's like a Lord of Hell.
Yeah. So basically, what I did when I did my pitch was I kind of like, we'll talk about this in a thing, but it was I kind of like we'll talk about it in a thing.
We'll talk about it in the thing.
I know what I can do. I'll talk about it in a thing.
We'll do it live. We'll do it live.
Christian, just
live.
talk about it in the thing. Just talk
do it
about
on
it
the
in the
night. I'll do it on the night.
We'll do it live.
I'll do it on the
All
night.
right, here we go, everybody. So we're gonna give you a quick countdown. This will give you an opportunity to go ahead and start the movie, and then we'll start it as soon as I do this little thing here. So, all right, if everyone's ready, let's get it going. All right, got the
Here we
Paramount
go.
logo here.
I mean, it's the best logo, right? The stars.
Yeah, I think so. It's between this and the 20th Century Fox. Dun dun dun.
They should
I
have
quite
like-
like the Columbia one as well.
They should have like dead little hikers up there, like frozen bodies.
Yep. I love this too. The transition from the mountain into the space.
This is the thing, right? This is Chris, can you turn it down a little bit?
Sure,
Can you turn it
absolutely.
down a
Yeah.
little bit?
Sorry. 1 second.
Yeah, turn it down.
That's as low as it can go from my end.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the thing that got me to watch this film.
Yeah,
Believe it
okay.
or not. So the score in this is done by Michael Kamen and Orbital, which were a big kind of electronica kind of like group in the UK in the 90s. And this is why I came to see the film, just to kind of like to see their kind of electronica and look at this.
Yeah.
You don't see this anymore. Credits being sucked into a hole. That's what you want, right?
It's very Doctor Who-esque. Doctor Who plus hell.
It is, isn't it? It is.
We actually, so the composer of this is Michael Carmen. I don't know if you guys are familiar with his work. He's sort of revered in the composing industry. He's won multiple awards, was nominated for 2 Academy Awards for Best Original Song and a couple Golden Globes. He worked on Lethal Weapon and Die Hard and Edge of Darkness and Tales from the Crypt, Band of Brothers. I mean, his Iron Giant, he's done so much. So I think that that's something that can definitely be praised within this film because, again, it was, troubled to say the least. But it's just interesting, Christian, to hear you say that, like, part of the reason you went and checked out this movie was because of another band that you had in this. That they had in this.
Well, really, I just noticed they weren't credited, but they absolutely did part of the score. But I didn't know that they weren't credited, which is really weird.
This is before Paul W.S. Anderson, before the W.S., right?
This is such a typical intro into like a 90s like science fiction film. You got the preamble on the screen. You have the cool music in the background, like very No Escape, very Demolition Man, very Judge Dredd with Stallone.
Yeah.
Oh, Aaron kind of blacked out a little bit there.
Oh.
He's gone down the hole.
We'll see if he comes back.
He's back.
Okay, Aaron, you were out for a second. We didn't hear that last part.
I'm sure the listeners can hear me. I'm just saying it's very very 90s Judge Dredd, very very No Escape, like all those different movies.
I will say that with the timeline of that beginning crawl there, they were very optimistic about where we were going to be at as like a world in like 2047.
Did you not watch Back to the Future? We're supposed to have flying cars by now and self-driving clothes.
Blade Runner was like 2019. So like we're way past all this.
Look, can I just stop? Look at it. Look, why does it have the thing? And I love it. But the name of the ship is lit up like a Las Vegas hotel.
Yeah, I don't know. Who's looking at that?
Yeah.
It also looks like a complete ripoff of like the Klingon bird of prey.
It's very, yeah.
There's a lot of alien in this. Chris, you were talking earlier about alien.
Do you know what? I'm going to fight you on that. There's not a lot of alien, I don't think.
Not a lot? Is there any?
I don't think there's any alien in this, and I think that's why it's successful. Because
isn't this the gangway from Lost in Space?
I don't know.
Never mind. Like it's the one, with the family one. The I think it was 95 or 96, and it was never mind. Look
at that. Look at that.
Yeah,
incredible.
I think I saw a butt cheek.
Oh,
that's the kind of practical that we just don't see often. Anymore, and I think that's part of the reason why this movie was so troubled in its production is that there was a lot of practical things that Paul W.S. Anderson wanted to do and just couldn't do it due to either budget or the timeline that they had.
Well, I mean, this was only his second film, right? He did Mortal Kombat, and he went straight from that to this.
He did shopping before that, but it was a small
No, he didn't do shopping.
Oh, he didn't.
No, that was the guy that went on. That was Cannon.
Jesus,
Cannon.
man.
It says on, and I could be wrong here. It says on IMDb. It says he directed it. Written and directed by Paul Anderson.
Nope, that was Danny Cannon.
Okay.
You think this is before or after he saw dinosaurs for the first time?
I will say, Christian, speaking on Dark Descent, you open this first issue again. No, we're not going to spoil much of that first issue, if any. But I will say that, like, you know, Sam Neill's, and I don't know why I'm saying his name.
Jump scare.
Billy Weir in this. We get a lot of that in the beginning of your story. It seems like he's going to play at least a decent role in that comic series.
Look, when I rewatched this, when I was putting together my pitch, I was just like, right from the get-go, something is going on with Weir. Mm-hmm. Like, right from the get-go, you know, he's having these nightmares. Because, okay, so here's the thing, right? Okay, so everyone else is having these nightmares, and they have these hallucinations when they get on the event horizon, because the event horizon affects them. Okay, but right from the get-go, like, he's nowhere near the event horizon.
Right.
But he's having hallucinations. Why? And so that's the thing. That was my in. Like, why is he having hallucinations, like, when he's not even anywhere near the ship? And
because his soul is weak. He's grieving.
Well, we're gonna explore that, Aaron. We're gonna explore that.
So I want to say really quickly that scene where we had Sam Neill's Weir sort of spinning there on the ship, and actually this scene right here, these two scenes connected, was the most expensive scene in the entire film. It actually took up a third of the budget. I'm looking for the actual here. Because it was filmed using separate scale models of different sizes, they had to match up perfectly. Anderson said that the shot had to be redone 20 times before he was satisfied, and half jokingly claimed that the man working on it had to take a year-long sabbatical afterwards to recuperate. Wow. So
that's crazy.
And Aaron, I want to say really quickly, whenever we saw Sam Neill's shutter open to look out into space, that sound that we heard was from Doom. The first Doom game.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you ever connected that. Yeah. So
why does he have like a very Professor X chair? Oh, this guy. I'm just going to be like, I don't know shit about like the background of this movie. I'm just going to be commenting on like the weird choices they made. Like everybody else seems to be fine. Why is this guy wearing like a knit cap? You know?
Yeah. I don't know. I know that at one point, and we're sort of meeting the crew here. At one point, they talk about in the audio commentary on the DVD that the what do you call those? Like the openings of each door, they look like coffins. Did you guys catch that?
That's nice. That is nice. That is cool. I mean, that's the thing. That's one thing about this film that you cannot flaw. The production design, it's so good. I mean, I would say the production design of this is up there with Aliens. It's incredible.
Mm-hmm. And actually, Christian, we were talking earlier. This is what kind of felt alien to me, was like the table. So, and I get that it's not obviously the entire movie, but like I feel like there's like a slight influence there, at least at the bare minimum. Yeah.
It's also kind of interesting. This guy has the Ankh on his back.
Well, this actually goes back to Paul W.S. Anderson. He actually made, or I guess he didn't make anybody do anything, but he asked each one of the actors to come up with a fake backstory. And we got Lucius Malfoy here. Jason Isaacs. He actually, scar in the middle of his chest. He based his character, this backstory that doesn't exist in the movie and has really not been explored otherwise. He based off his brother, who had to get a bunch of surgeries as a young kid, and he has all these scars all over his body because of it.
Nice.
Chris, what would your backstory be?
I come from a long line of fortune, and my family created Velcro, and therefore I never had to want anything. Therefore, I'm a real son of a bitch with a smoking problem.
That's the story that I used to tell people when I went to the bar.
You were a family of Velcro makers?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah. W.H. Velcro was my grandfather's name.
All right, I want to go quickly while we're sort of centering on Weir here. And we talked about it at the beginning in the intro that Paul W.S. Anderson, Mortal Kombat, Soldier, Alien versus Predator, Milla Jovovich's entire Resident Evil series, Death Race, Three Musketeers, Pompeii, Monster Hunter.
History, by the way.
And then this year, he's coming out with In the Lost Lands with, believe it or not, Milla Jovovich and Dave Bautista.
Out.
Is it out?
Yeah, that's been out for a while. That I'm pretty sure that bombed hard.
Totally missed me. I'm just curious from your guys' 2 point of views. Is there any of these films that you like? Just like, I would say, enjoy.
I mean, obviously, I enjoyed.
I forgot that Christian can't say anything bad about Paul.
Yeah,
I can't say
yeah,
anything.
Just to interrupt, I've just looked on my phone. You are right. He did do shopping.
Yes.
I've got my Danny and my Paul Anderson. They were both
the power of research.
Yeah, they were both basically really kind of cool English directors that kind of came up at the same time. And like Danny Cannon did Dread, and that kind of like killed him. And then obviously like Paul Anderson did all these.
I got to ask you guys: have you ever seen the movie Rocket Man? It's a Disney film.
What, the Elton John?
No, not the Elton John one. This is the one. It was like, I want to say it was like late 90s, early 2000s. It was with the guy who was the guy who went to prison in Half Baked.
I have not.
You need to check it out because literally he is like, he gets put on a ship as a coder for NASA. He gets put on a ship.
You're thinking of Harlan Williams
for a mission to Mars, and he ends up like a space chimp ends up taking over his sleeping cryo booth. So he has to spend the entire time awake. It's like however many months in isolation while waiting for his crew to wake up. It's so funny. It is so hilarious.
And I didn't want to stop you in the middle of your monologue there, but on the screen there, did you guys see the eyeballs at the top of the screen?
Yeah.
That's one of those quick little Easter eggs that if you don't see it the first time, and obviously she's eyeless here. Now again, Christian, you explore this a little bit in your first issue. I'm just curious, what's the addition? What was the purpose of the addition of Weir and his wife there in that first issue?
What's the? So I couldn't hear you over the screaming.
I'm sorry. I don't know why your volume is way louder than ours because I can barely hear it.
Yeah, it's really loud. Is there any way I can turn it down?
Possibly. Let me see here. 1 second. Let me try to mess with this here.
Why is his wife hot still without eyeballs?
Oh, dude, I want to explore why you think she's hot without eyeballs.
I mean, I'm saying she's both hot with and without.
I don't know why it's so much louder on your end, Christian. That's so weird.
Would you like some coffee?
Yeah, it's properly loud. I'm trying to kind of like hear you guys over like when it gets my thing. So what did you say about Weir?
I was going to ask you about the addition of his wife with eventually his wife in the first issue. You know, you make, I would say like a decent attempt. I wouldn't say a decent attempt, a large attempt to involve that connection between him and his wife and sort of the grief that he has in this film, also in that, obviously in that first issue as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I think kind of like with, just like with any of my, like the things that I do, like it's always really important that I kind of look for the human kind of like emotion and the kind of like, their story. And so for Weir, I mean, that's the big thing, like this trauma that he's going through. But also I want to kind of explore, their relationship and like what happened and why he feels the way he does. But it just seems to be, I couldn't tell an Event Horizon story without having that be quite a crucial point. But also I can't really say why it's so crucial until we kind of like, because it's going to be, you'll find out it's going to be quite big.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm excited because it's so interesting when you watch all these characters. They're all much like the characters we're introduced to in issue 1. They all have like a backstory. They all have some kind of secret. They all have something, just like all of these different characters in this, which essentially, boils down to what are they all like grieving or suffering or dealing with. And so, Weir being the catalyst to this entire mission / engine, like why is he the so to speak antenna for this? So I find it like I'm so excited for it.
Oh, thanks, dude. But I'll tell you what, just to stop and look at this scene, like this was a big scene for me that like I had to try and, this was my big in really. And like one thing that never gets talked about with Event Horizon is it's almost kind of like Star Trek-y, right? Yeah. So this isn't an American crew. This is a fully international crew. We've got, obviously there's quite a lot of Americans, but we've got Weir, who's Australian. We've got Brits. And here's a little tidbit. You might have this on your list of facts, Chris, that Sam Neill's Australian flag is the Aboriginal flag, not
the
thing,
Union Jack.
which I just thought was, that was so cool. And so when I was kind of coming up with the crew for the original voyage that Sam Neill's kind of alluding to here, I really wanted to make sure that we really had a fully international crew, and that it's humankind. Everyone is there, everyone is represented, and obviously, as you kind of sort of said, they're all bringing their traumas and their histories and the things that they're running away from, in the same way that the characters in this film do. Because I think why would anyone go to space? Why would anyone kind of go on a voyage like that unless you were running away from something?
Sure, absolutely. I want to build really quickly off what you said there a moment ago about the Aboriginal flag. Actually, Fishburne's, his suit there has the American flag, and it has 55 stars on it. So we've gained 5 states. And then the EU flag has 22 instead of 20. So clearly something has happened in this universe that, something political has happened to that point to where we've added a couple of states here and there. So
that's really cool.
I wanted to say too, around the 3-minute mark, Paul W.S. Anderson makes an appearance here, says during the dream sequence, a book floats past the camera featuring a picture of the director and his name. The director himself jokes about the detail in the DVD commentary, saying that it's his autobiography named Paul Anderson, A Life. So I
was wondering that because I saw the book float by and I'm like, I wonder what book that is. So
also really quick, Christian, how's the volume? I just went and muted it. Is that better for you?
I think that's better. It's less distracting. Is it muted for you guys also?
Yes. Yeah. And that's okay. I think the conversation is way more important. So just everybody listening right now, we went ahead and muted on our end just so we could have the conversation, but we're still watching it along with you. So I want to do a quick, because we're about to get to it here in just a moment. Really quick, before we move on, I just have to point out the fact that this little demonstration that Weir is showing off right now has been shown multiple times in other time travel featuring black hole movies. I think most famously in Interstellar, they do the same thing, the sort of same demonstration where you create that hole through a black hole to move instead of thousands of years takes a Sunday stroll, as someone says famously in an issue. They also do it in Thor: Love and Thunder, funny enough, here recently. I was going to say, let's see here. So the official name of the gateway machine that we're sort of talking about here is, in the script, it's called the Third Containment. But it was informally called the Gateway Drive in the film.
Gravity Drive.
Gravity Drive, yeah.
Gravity Drive, excuse me. I apologize. Yes, the Gravity Drive. The room it stands on being the second containment, the corridor leading them into the first. It was originally described as a smooth and featureless black orb, 10 meters or nearly 33 feet in diameter, suspended in a mid-air between large rotating mechanical arms. It's also said to contain a stable black hole within it at all times, which the ship used as a power source, as opposed to briefly creating one.
When will we learn that black holes cannot be contained safely?
Right. Anderson actually decided against this creative decision, instead redesigning to involve interlocking rings as an homage to the puzzle box in Hellraiser in 1987.
Yeah. I mean, you can see that, like, it's so ornate and kind of medieval in its design.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting about that as well is it really reminds me of this comic that I read not too long ago, and it was like a machine that did crazy things with like ghosts and bodies. What was that one called?
I don't know. It's interesting. Was it prestige sized, Aaron?
Yeah, actually,
large,
I think it was pretty. It was, oh god, it was gorgeous.
Eisner-winning team, if I remember.
The art, but it was. I'm kidding. The art was gorgeous.
Aquaman Andromeda, was that?
That's
exactly it. Yeah.
We were talking about Spectregraph, everybody.
You see the common theme in my book. There's a common theme.
Yeah, ghosts, machines, and comic horror. Yes. I want to say real quickly too, Anderson said while working on Soldier, which was a film he was working on before this,
this is so reminiscent of, and sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, it's just, it's interesting because he was working on Soldier with Kurt Russell. Kurt Russell decided to go off and work out and like get in shape. And so he did this instead. And then he got a bunch of pushback from Paramount to hurry up and get this thing done, which is again why over 30 minutes the film was sort of cut and, you know, they had their hands all over it. And Kurt Russell said, because again, as Christian alluded to earlier, this film was not well received in the beginning. Kurt said that forget about what the movie's doing now. 15 years from now, this will be a cult classic. So Kurt Russell knew what was going on even back then.
Yeah. Which I loved Soldier. I love that movie.
I like Soldier. I was a fan of Soldier.
Also a commercial and financial failure. But you know,
I love terrible movies. What can I say?
Yeah.
This is such a funny, like his chair again. If you ever watch Team America World Police, you know, there's like the leader of the team and he's just like scooting back and forth across the screen. At one point, he's like upside down. Yeah. This is the chair.
Yeah. Christy, we were talking about this a moment ago. The ship design was actually mostly inspired by the Notre Dame Cathedral, giving it that Gothic and demonic appearance. So,
yeah, it's absolutely cathedral-like.
And then
End of sentence.
The ship's design and interior also includes the Latin inscription, which Latin, we'll get a lot of Latin throughout this film. And then also, Christian, you dabble a little bit in that with your first issue. The inscription says, "Abandon all hope, ye who enter here," which is ripped directly from Dante.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. They use that line in so many things. One of my favorite uses of it is As Above, So Below, which is a horror movie set in Paris where they go into the catacombs, which I've been in there, and it's supposed to be the gateway to hell.
Is that H.P. Lovecraft? Who says that? As Above, So Below? Okay.
I don't think so.
Okay. Maybe I'm just getting those two. They seem sort of playing in the same realm, so maybe I just got those two mixed up.
Reverse thrusters.
Reverse thrusters.
Full reverse.
You know,
we're going to check into the Event Horizon Hotel, guys.
Christian, you were talking about him earlier. Screenwriter Philip Eisner was actually inspired by The Shining. He was inspired to write this film while watching The Shining. So.
Yeah, because it's absolutely a ghost story kind of in space, right? You know, people sort of say, you know, that the Alien was this kind of like haunted house film in space. It really isn't. This is.
Yeah.
This absolutely is.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is the practical. I mean, I still think that right here, even in 1997, I still think this looks good in terms of the limited amount of CGI. Because I think it was, I may be getting this incorrectly. I might be misquoting, but I think it was
13 right there.
Steven Spielberg, yeah, which unlucky number, right?
Yeah, and even just that, like having the Roman numerals, right? It's just like it knows what it's doing, and the cloud. You don't have clouds in space. But like the clouds in space, it just totally works.
Yeah. The mixture of practical and CGI is, I think, just really well done here because, again, the science wasn't quite there yet. But you guys couldn't see it, but Christian imitated the ship rattling around.
Yeah,
he pulled a Shatner.
I want to go back really quickly, and I will not make you, besmirch Mr. Anderson, Christian. But what's your favorite Paul W.S. Anderson film that's not Event Horizon? Soldier? 1998? Aaron, how about you?
Ooh,
as the number one Milla Jovovich fan in the world, even more so than Paul W.S. Anderson, who is, her husband. What's your favorite work from him?
God, he fucking takes advantage of that situation so much. I gotta say probably, I really do. I love Soldier as a film. It's one of my guiltiest pleasures. But I really do enjoy, I don't want to say I can't really say that.
Let me run through real quick again for you.
If you want to. I mean, yeah.
Shopping, Mortal Kombat, Soldier, Event Horizon, Alien vs. Predator, all of Milla Jovovich's Resident Evil films, Death Race, Three Musketeers, Pompeii, Monster Hunter, and then All the Lands.
I do love Death Race, though.
Me too. That was my pick. Death Race is my favorite.
It's got to be Soldier. Like number 2 would be Death Race because it's such a stupid ass movie, and the whole franchise itself, from when David Carradine was in it, it's just a stupid ass franchise. But I love it because I would do it. I would volunteer. Yeah. I would be like, hey, I'm not in prison, but I'll still do it.
Just to be a star.
Very phallic docking station.
I was about to say that. Yeah, it's like when you're stroking a dog and his little pink thing comes out. It's a bit like that.
Red Rocket.
Red Rocket.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, the interesting about this that I noticed is on the end of this docking penis is an iris. Like it's very like an iris.
Yeah.
The way that they have it with like the blades,
Yeah.
it's always been kind of something that's very ominous. Because even like Stargate, you know, with when they built the iris like protection device, it was kind of in that bladed, like, you know, iris type of like closure. And so it very much like a camera, very much like I don't know, it's just a cool,
Or like something's
effect to
watching you.
use. Yeah, again, it's very cool to use.
Yeah, we'll see it here in just a moment, but I'm just going to go ahead and say it right now. The razor sharp tunnel that we see on the Event Horizon ship was meant to represent, or supposed to look like, the 9 circles of hell in Dante's Inferno, which
You know
I think.
what? This will be a good point for me to intersect. Like, so
Yeah.
obviously this was the whole thing. So basically, when I pitched this, like, I went back to Dante's Inferno. I went back to the Divine Comedy, you know, because there is all this kind of medieval kind of like imagery in this film, and kind of like, you know, it's not. People say it's gothic, but it's not really gothic. It's much older than that. So it was always about kind of going back to those original texts, and this is where Paimon comes from. So looking at kind of like that sort of demonology, and just like trying to find something that was much older, you know, and it's that clash of kind of science fiction set in the future, but like the horror that we're dealing with is much, much older, which I think is always a really interesting clash. And I think that's why this film, it just stands above like Aliens or anything, because the horror that's alluded to in this, it just feels ancient.
Sure.
It also is super interesting because we're talking about something that is kind of human lore it's so old, and yet we're talking about an extraterrestrial event that is happening. So what, like that connective tissue where it's like it feels distant because they have to go into like a hypersleep, but at the same time it's still right there on the forefront of humanity because it happened, and we also have a name for it. We have like the entity speaks English, you know, or Latin, or however you want to like kind of, but we know about it, so it has that familiar feeling where it's like, how does this connect? There's got to be something ancient on Earth that connects to this ancient demon or ancient evil. So I love it. And anytime you get to use these lasers in a room like this is so cool. Alien.
I mean, that was so Aliens, wasn't it? Really?
Yeah. Also, I heard that in the scenes here with them in their suits, they actually had to be hoisted up onto a crane, each of them, because again, this is practical. So these suits were so heavy on them that they had to be like, had all that weight taken off of them, or else they would have collapsed. I know at one point I saw that Fishburne at one point had to have it completely taken off of him because he was so exhausted from wearing it. So It's just interesting that, you know, as good as this looks, it was obviously a freaking horrible experience for the actors.
That's so cool. I mean, they're almost like deep sea divers, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Very, very the abyss.
This is the tunnel I was just speaking about a moment ago. That's supposed to represent the 9 circles of hell. Aaron, I don't know if you have the transcript in front of you there, but I'd love for you. We haven't really done it yet. I just want to kind of quickly go over it before we get into the actual room there. Can you go over the cast really quickly?
Yeah. Let's do the cast. So Lawrence Fishburne is Captain S.J. Miller, commanding officer of the Lewis and Clark. Not the Lois and Clark if you're a Superman fan, but the Lewis and Clark of the...
This is Dean Cain, all right?
It's not Dean Cain, not that dickhead. This is Lewis and Clark is the famous exploration team. Sam Neill, a.k.a. Dr. Grant. Dr. William G. Billy Weir, designer of the Event Horizon. So this is him going inside of his own baby. Kathleen Quinlan as Peters, medical technician of the Lewis and Clark. Jolie Richardson as Lieutenant M.L. Stark, communications and executive officer of the Lewis and Clark, or as we call him in the military, the XO. Richard T. Jones.
Of Nick Tuck fame. Did you guys ever watch Nip Tuck back in the day?
That's one I have a hard time still watching. It's so weird.
It is weird.
Richard T. Jones as T.F. Cooper, rescue technician of the Lewis and Clark. Jack Noseworthy as Ensign F.M. Justin, chief engineer of the Lewis and Clark. Jason Isaacs as DJ, medical doctor of the same ship. Sean Pertwee as W.F. Smitty Smith, pilot of the Lewis and Clark. Peter Marinker as Captain John Kilpack, commanding officer of the Event Horizon. Holly Chant, Claire Weir, Dr. Weir's wife, a.k.a. Sexy Without Eyes. Barclay Wright as Denny Peters' son. Noah Huntley as Eddie Cork. Oh my God, jump scare.
Jump scare.
Eddie Cork, Miller's former shipmate from the Goliath, and Robert Jezik as rescue technician, rescues the survivors of the Lewis and Clark.
Aaron,
What's left.
I was really hoping that with the low-hanging fruit that is this joke, I was hoping you would have said Holly Can't, is it Holly Can't?
Holly Chant?
Chant, whatever, yeah. Dr. Weir's wife, so hot you don't need eyes to see how hot she is, or something to that effect.
That's insensitive, Chris.
Sorry, I apologize to all the
That's
eyeless folks
insensitive.
out there listening right now. The box office for this film, $43 million. Christian, you were talking earlier about how this commercially failed. Obviously, critically, it was not really well received initially. It was created with a $60 million budget, so well below that, Aaron. As we often say here on the Oblivion Bar, if you want to make some money, it's your budget times two. You got to get that double budget, or else you're not going to be making any money on the back end. So,
Look at this.
That's
There it
just a
is.
shot right there. That's
It's
a
so
gorgeous
cool.
shot. Yeah.
So cool.
again, I think this is why this film has sort of aged a little bit better, is because of things like this, right?
Yeah, it's
Like-
iconic. It's really,
Yeah.
it's really hard to make something iconic, like visually iconic, and like for all of its kind of like the problems with some of its pacing because of the cut and everything like that. It has so many iconic images in this film that like it's magic. It's catching lightning in a bowl.
Absolutely.
And
And
we'll
by the way,
actually,
I will also point out that Tristan is hating this room, and I keep, he's got to draw it a lot.
Did you ever see the movie Sphere?
Yeah. Michael
Michael-
Crichton film.
Yeah, Michael Crichton film based off the book. I read and watched that book so many times, and this would always kind of had like a similar feel to that one of like, again, when you stare at the void stares back at you. And this scene right here is the epitome of that saying.
now, I don't know if we've already passed it because we've been talking, but
is that
did we
pudding?
get the Liberate Me transmission yet?
No, it's coming up.
Okay.
Wow, spoilers, Chris.
Sorry, spoilers.
Don't
Spoilers.
put your fucking hand in there, you idiot.
This is still the age of horror films where it's put your whole body and/or
Yeah.
appendage into an area that you shouldn't.
That's the weirdest glory hole ever.
Oh,
Blah.
you get the
I think
reverberation.
The 90s films, they love that ripple effect.
Yeah,
They
they
love that.
Yep.
and
Now
still,
imagine Neo's there and he's just like stopping the little bubbles.
the mixture of practical and CGI there, I still think it looks pretty good. I mean, I know it
Yeah,
doesn't
it
look
is,
great, but I think it looks pretty good for the time, especially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
Someone's gonna need some
Didn't
nip
even
tuck.
lose the cigarette. Didn't even lose the cigarette.
Doesn't even need to relight it. Still going. Take
Now
a
you
drag.
can light it off the ladder.
Is this before Boys in the Hood? I'm trying to remember if Fishburne.
No, the Boys in the Hood came before this.
Yeah, 91. Yep.
I love how he's trying to put out this huge fire with that tiny ass extinguisher. Also, think about a year 2057 or 2047. We're still using tiny fire extinguishers.
Yes. Yep.
But not just that, there was a CD a minute ago.
Yeah,
Like, I couldn't even perceive. Oh, this is the pinnacle.
yeah. This is so futuristic. We're gonna be using these forever.
Did you guys know that Paul W.S. Anderson claims that he turned this he turned down directing X-Men 2000 to do this film? Did you know that?
What the
I didn't know
first
that.
X-Men?
Yeah. So I don't know if you guys know X-Men, of course, the first one over at Fox, it was in development hell for a long time. I think it went in
Sploosh.
development in 1996, and it eventually obviously came out in 2000. But it says here that Paul Anderson said he turned down directing X-Men after Mortal Kombat to do that,
I
or
could
to do
believe
this.
that. I
Yeah.
could believe that.
Yep. Definitely in his wheelhouse at the time for sure.
I mean, I will say this. Like, I think, even though I like Soldier, I think this is his best film.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think you're probably, yeah,
I agree with
I would
that.
agree with that. Yeah, actually, I mean, again, as I said earlier, I think, what did I say? Death Race is my favorite, but I think this is probably his best.
How come Weir didn't get his name on his spacesuit?
Well, he's a guest, right? So he's kind of tagging along. So they're all
Yeah.
their crew. He would like, they wouldn't have it made up, would they?
I mean, you're telling me in 2047 we can't make a name tag that quick?
They can do like screen on printing right now. Like they can do like.
Ooh,
Uh-oh. That's not
a little
good.
bit of frostbite.
Yep. Yeah. Nope.
Oh, that's poop
Oh,
water.
goopy.
That's
Pee
Def-
poo poo.
The magic
That's-
word
yeah.
of this episode is goopy.
Pee poo poo.
Oh.
Look at that. There's no clouds in space, but I love it.
Because there's no like water in space.
there's no lightning. Is
So
there
you can't
lightning in
create
space?
clouds.
It's so funny. Like, I'll give you a little insight to the comic, right? So, Tristan's been doing obviously a stellar job, and all of his space scenes.
That's a good pun.
All of his space scenes, obviously, there's no stars. And then I was just like, oh, maybe we should put some stars into like the space. Everyone knows that I like a good cosmic star space. And then I suddenly realized, no, he's absolutely right. We can't put stars because the clouds are covering them all. The clouds that don't exist in space.
I was gonna say, the real life ghost ship. Do you guys know the story behind the Mary Celeste?
Mhm.
Aaron, do you know
Mary Celeste, not
Celeste?
Celeste.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. Celeste. I don't know if you know this, Christian, by listening to the Oblivion Bar. I'm not the best pronunciator, so
He's also never met anybody named Celeste.
yeah, it's a word I've seen. I've never said. Aaron, do you know the legend behind it though?
I'm assuming that here's my assumption. It went down somewhere and then arrived somewhere with no crew, no people on it, and people to this day wonder what happened, and they say the ship is haunted.
Wow, you're just really introspective. Like, how did you guess that immediately? I wonder.
Is that correct?
That is absolutely correct. Yes. It was a
Goddamn.
ship that had all of its supplies, everything, just no crew for some reason. They don't really know why still to this day.
Yeah, shocker.
Yeah.
Humans are just easy to know what they're going to create a story of.
Yeah. Well, they always say that there's no original stories. There's just new ideas. So, and Christian, you touch on this quite a bit in your series, and I just want to kind of lay it out there. I'm sure people who have seen this film already know this, but Dr. Weir, Peters, and Miller all suffer from personal guilt and trauma. That's sort of a central pillar of this movie is the trauma sort of focus, and how people who, as you said, Christian, earlier, people don't go into space because they're having a good life. A lot of times they're trying to run away from something.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you have Weir, of course, being haunted by his wife's suicide. You have Peters, who abandoned her sick son and that creepy clown from that birthday party.
Yep.
And then you have Miller, who left the crew to die in a fire. Later atones for that self-sacrifice, which we'll talk about later. So,
What about Cooper and his fucking attitude?
and that goddamn attitude. I'll tell you what, though, just, kind of broad strokes here. The guy who plays Cooper, Richard T. Jones, a really great character actor. I feel like every time he shows up in a film, I'm like, okay, cool. That's a nice inclusion.
I mean, everyone in this film brings their A game.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
and also, let's just point out, this was the film that Sam Neill followed Jurassic Park up with.
Yeah.
He did Jurassic Park, then this.
Yeah.
I just want to say that Lawrence Fishburne in this is, to me, this is the closest to the Morpheus character that I've ever seen, like in his acting, like, prowess. Like this is
so?
he just like the way he stands, like he just has that air of like authority.
Gravitas.
The gravitas. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is why I'm not the writer. God damn, shut the fuck up, Cooper.
Cooper really is the antagonizer in this whole
He
situation.
really is. He just got a mouth on him.
Look at the design of this ship. Look at those pillars.
Yeah.
They're crazy.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Again, Trishan hates this cockpit, but I'm putting lots of.
Through your guys' process, has there been any sort of what's the word I'm looking for here? Is there something that you had in the script that he was like, oh, I don't really want to do this, and you're like, okay, that makes sense. Besides the stars, I know you mentioned that one, but like, is there another thing perhaps?
The room.
I mean, Trishan's obviously a pro, and I think kind of like we're both approaching the story with a mutual love of the film. So it's. And I think kind of like, he really digs what I'm doing, thankfully. And there's no greater honor than writing a script and a writer and an artist, really digs what you're doing and then just like really goes for it. I mean, both him and Pip, they're really bringing their A game to it. And like he's, we haven't spoken too much about like kind of thing, but he said he really loves the scripts. He's just finishing off issue 2 now. There's a really disgusting splash page in issue 2 that's foul. Like I can barely look at it. But no, he says what a challenge. I mean, I think the kind of the architecture of the ship is the challenge. I mean, when he did the gravity drive room, he's drawn every single little vent, those little kind of weird nobular things that stick out. He's drawn all of them. Go on.
I was gonna ask. I know that you're writing, but are you doing any interiors? Are you doing any of the art?
No. No. I mean, Tristan is a much better fit for this than me, because I think, as much as I'm known for doing kind of cosmic stuff, you look at that.
Yeah.
So good. As much as I'm known for doing cosmic stuff, it's the architecture of the ship. It's the kind of tangibility of the ship that really makes the film what it is and gives it its visual identity. And Tristan does that so well. I mean, I think what's really cool is Tristan at the moment is known as the aliens guy, but I honestly think when his book's done, he will be the Event Horizon guy. 100%.
Oh yeah,
Awesome.
I mean, I like I said earlier, I totally agree. I think he's great in this, and I think again, as you said, the colors really bring it home too. We didn't talk about this earlier. Obviously, Aaron and I are big fans of yours, Christian, even though you're a friend. But I think after reading that first issue, I'm like, this is it feels sort of cliche to say this, but it feels like sort of a level up in a way.
Well,
like
thank you.
it was an incredible read, and I think even if you've never seen this film or you haven't seen it in a while, you can obviously pick this up and understand what's happening.
That's absolutely the idea that I would. I wanted it to be very new reader friendly. By the way, let's just stop for a minute. That is a bone saw.
Bone saw's ready.
What would they have? Oh yeah, bone saw.
Bone saw's ready.
Oh Jesus, what was that?
Like why would they be doing like a full on surgery in space?
Yeah,
that little biohazard little things on the thing there. I don't know.
I was always curious. He's like laying on the table with his mouth open and his eyes open. And you'd think they would try and close it or do something because his mouth's going to get really dry.
Love
Just
that.
make you think, that supposedly the blood orgy scene that we'll see little snippets of later on, that was cut from the film because it was so violent and gory. I mean, that was pretty nasty. I mean, just makes you wonder how extreme it was.
I just remember back, years ago, where you couldn't even in movies or even on television, you could not show violence. You could not show children suffering. You could not show children with injuries. You couldn't show violence against children. And we're going now where it's mid 90s going into late 90s. And we've already started showing kids with like this kid with the shit all over his legs, sores and stuff. And it's nowadays, people are getting their arms ripped off on TV.
Aaron, we're 40 minutes into this movie, and I'm just curious why we haven't brought up Dead Space at all. Are you a Dead Space fan at all?
I am not necessarily a Dead Space fan. I've played it. It's not, again, it's a cosmic horror. I can see where it's
this movie. This
true.
movie. I almost verbatim, not verbatim, but it's the influence is so intense. Christian, are you familiar at all with the game Dead Space?
Oh yeah, I love Dead Space. In fact, I've just bought the remaster on the PS5.
Do you agree?
I do need to get that.
Do you agree that this is
it's I mean, I would say it's very much, but it's the same thing, right? Going to distress call, the ghost ship in that space. It's a ghost station, and kind of going down and discovering the horror within. Yeah, it's absolutely, and I think kind of it has, there's, other than the kind of medieval aesthetic of the Event Horizon, it also has a lot of industrial aesthetic, which I think Dead Space does very well.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's that, and that is the DNA that it's taken from Alien, right? So the Alien, unlike a lot of other kind of sci-fi, unlike Star Trek, unlike Star Wars, Alien, it was the working class.
Don't drop it,
man. It's all people
He could have at least have set that stuff down. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Instead of dropping it all over the floor.
Christian, you were saying a moment ago, I think when, and you mentioned the blood orgy scene as well. Test screens for this movie, the first, speaking of an alien reference right here, the duck scene from Aliens, but point being is in the test screenings,
Brilliant.
the test screenings showed the executives for Paramount said that it felt too Star Trek-y. That was their big major complaint outside of the fact that it was extremely gory, and a lot of test audiences. And sounds hyperbolic. When I read it, I rolled my eyes. But apparently, the first cut of this scene, the Paul W.S. Anderson cut of this movie, apparently was so gory and so just intense that there were a few audience members that fainted during the viewing. So again, I have kind of a hard time believing that unless you were showing it to a bunch of 80-year-old Catholic women or something. But
it's weird. Like when this film came out, I remember that a lot of the promotional stuff was and like the big taglines, at least in the UK, was it's the scariest film since The Exorcist. And like I don't know, like I've never found it scary.
Yeah.
Ever. I don't. It's creepy. And it's effective in its creepiness, and it's kind of like it definitely has a kind of like an air of dread that it definitely has, but I don't think it's scary. Do you guys think it's scary?
it's interesting. I don't think it's scary now, but I do remember a time in my life where this, and then also, funny enough, another movie that you've sort of played in the play, or at least like a genre of a movie you played around in, is 13 Ghosts. Both of those movies really haunted me as a young person. And I think it was because of the imagery. I don't think it was because of the content of the film. It was seeing a trailer for it, as you said, seeing a trailer of what's happening in those in this movie and then 13 Ghosts just freaked me out beyond belief.
Ooh.
So, Aaron, how about you?
Pretty much the same as you, Chris. It was like the visuals and kind of like, I want to say it was the visuals along with the kind of like the messaging behind it was a little bit more like scary and like daunting versus being actually like an actual like scary movie, something that like, I don't know. I wasn't really ready for like a lot of the visuals when I watched this.
Sure. Yeah.
I also don't find a glow in the dark, like circuitry, great, like little thing that he crawls through.
Yeah.
I don't find that to be practical.
Right. It's interesting. Like I said,
It's so cool though.
but it looks
cool, but
Yeah.
like in my brain is like, what's the practicality of this?
Oh. Now they're all trying to figure out if what they're seeing is like, is this really happening?
So this is the thing, like, so we watch We're Here, and he's so like, it's sus, right? It's really sus, his whole like kind of how he's behaving.
Yeah, he's so calm and like open to it.
Are you buying into the conspiracy that people have been debating for years, Christian? Is that what you're implying here?
Well, I don't know about the conspiracy, and I'll have to tread carefully because obviously, like, I'm writing the comic book.
Seeing Jason Isaacs as anything other than like a real son of a bitch always just weirds me out. I'm like, he is like the biggest dick in almost every movie I've seen him in. It just feels out of character for him not to be like in white hair, like snickering at somebody and calling them Pata or something,
Obviously.
What's your guys' favorite quote from this movie? I mean, there's the where we're going, we won't need eyes to see kind of thing. But is there another scene in this movie, whether we've gotten to it yet or not? Is there something else that kind of sticks out in your brain that sort of lives on with you, even not seeing this movie for a while?
I think for me, it's all the visuals, man. It's always like the visuals are what really kind of like. I don't know if I can even remember a single line. Like at least like I can't recall like off the top of my head, but it's all that it's a very, very, and I think that's why I was really excited to do it, because it feels like a comic book movie, even though it isn't. It's all cool imagery, set piece, rather than something that's really quotable.
There's some stars.
Barely. Look at that lightning.
My favorite line is "fuck this ship."
Yeah.
I think my favorite scene is the one we were talking about earlier with Weir when he sees his wife in the chair, and you can see her reflection, but at the top you can see the eyes at the top of the screen. I remember noticing that even as a young person, just being again freaked out just by the imagery of it. And I love that idea of showing without focusing. And Christian, I think you do something very similar in your first issue of Dark Descent, where there's one scene in particular that can we talk about Quan at all? Or can we talk about that at all? I don't want to spoil anything, but do you know what I'm talking about?
Talking about what's her?
Is it what's her Quan? Is that
Yeah.
where she's looking out into space?
Yeah.
Am I able to say what that scene is, or should we leave it off?
No, leave that.
Okay.
You
All right.
should-
Yeah. Anyway, point being is that point being is that like if you've read that first issue, I feel like you and Tristan and Pip as well do a similar thing.
Yeah.
And is this something that you put in the script, or is this something that you say, Tristan, have fun?
Oh no, that's in the script.
Okay,
Because
I hasn't figured it was.
That's
Intentional.
Yeah, there's a scene later on that kind of relates to it, but it will make sense as you kind of go on. There's a scene later on that kind of explains what's going on, but you have to really pay attention. But you'll still find out. Stop spoiling the comic.
Sorry. Dutch angle. My apologies. I'm excited. Like I said earlier, I'm not trying to just butter you up. I think it's an excellent first issue. And I'm excited for people to check it out after, again, listening to this. And I know people that are a fan of the movie are excited for your guys' continuation. You know, of
so.
the
That is
story.
not metal.
Yeah, there's been a lot of buzz. And people seem really excited. And I've had loads of people that are like real fans that have reached out to me that have never read comics before. So, it's a big honor.
This right here, this scene right here is the proof in the pudding that Dr. Weir knew exactly what was happening.
Although not proven throughout this film.
That son of a bitch. Dylan,
you son of a bitch. This is our Dylan, you son of a bitch moment of the movie. Because Weir, you
those
son of a
screens
bitch.
aren't real.
They're not rear.
They're not real.
I don't know if you guys want this now or later on in the commentary, but I actually have all the deleted scenes from that original 30 minutes that was taken out of the film. So we can talk about that as we go, or I was trying to find out. I was actually going to try to follow along with the film and just sort of point out what was changed, but we've long since passed that.
Yeah.
I can catch us up if you guys want. If you guys want me to catch us up to where we're at now.
Not
Not everybody at once.
Yeah. I think Christian and I might just be enjoying the film.
Yeah,
All
I
right,
know.
well,
I kind of
No one wants to hear us watch the film. They want us to talk about the movie. So a meeting scene at the space station between Weir and some superiors in charge of the mission, where they talk about the Event Horizon's reappearance and
Black
Weir's
eyes.
insistence that he joined the rescue team, which is not salvageable by his reputation, but instead needs the ship's technology to establish more Earth colonies. Dialogue from this deleted scene was included in the theatrical trailer. There's a lot of that. You'll see a lot of it was in the trailer, didn't make it in the film. More backstory for Justin and Cooper was included. We had a deleted backstory that hints to a previous romance between Stark and Miller, which I can totally believe. Miller finds a ripped out tooth floating around in the Event Horizon.
That was mine.
And a lot of this exists, but it's really crappy. And this is what we're talking about earlier about how it just was not savable for like a redistribution. And as we talked about before the actual commentary, there's now a 4K for this film. So there'd be no way to restore any of that for that purpose. So more scenes explaining the exact gateway to hell and the black hole. A longer version of the scene where Peters hallucinates her son with the legs all mangled, as we talked about with the eyes. Sorry, not the eyes, but the bones and such on there with maggots all over him. Director Paul W.S. Anderson claimed that the maggot shot was so particularly sickening that it took people too far out of the movie to be effective. After Justin almost dies and is inside the water tank, Weir has a hallucination where Justin turns into his wife, Claire, who comes out, looks at him. The scene was included in the first 2 test screening versions of the movie, but didn't make it into the final cut. So we're all caught up. That's everything that's been caught out of the film thus far.
So look, Lawrence Fishburne is just so calm.
Well, this
he's cool. He's cool.
Almost
he's
if,
cool.
As if it's a simulation.
Cool as the other side of the pillow. Have you guys ever seen the movie Sunshine
Oh, I love Sunshine.
from Alex Garland?
Big fan. Big
Yeah.
fan.
Aaron, did we watch that together? Have we
I don't
seen
think
that
so.
together?
I don't think so.
I have weird memories of
Look
that.
at these. Wait, how is this work? How is that accurate? How is that angle even possible in space?
Okay, and this scene right here where he uses the boots. This is again another. This is where I think my Dead Space reference, because they do this exact same thing in the game where he like uses his thruster to get into the corridor there and save him.
I would say that he's not gonna make it.
He's not gonna make it. Well, in space, wouldn't you immediately just start to like freeze over? You'd get Yondu'd. Remember from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2? I'm not your father, but I'm sure your daddy.
What was it? Also, I mean, even Peter Quill, he froze for a little bit.
Yep.
You have Weir in his creepy chair, seeing things.
I just, do they ever actually use like whatever those devices are that are like up above him in the chair? Because it almost looks like it comes down over the face for like a helmet almost.
Yeah.
See, earlier the liquid inside these. Oh wait, no. So on their ship it was blue.
It's
On
green
this
here.
one it's green. Yeah.
Yeah.
Clocks still work in deep space.
Yep.
Apparently. Analog watches. I guess you could just set it and let it go, but I'm trying to poke holes in this movie, I guess.
It may take 5 minutes to wipe all that blood off her neck.
Yeah.
Not even.
Who's that in the background? Who's that? Was that?
I was going to ask, there's a guy in the tank back there.
Yeah.
We never forgot who he is.
Was that him? Was that the guy they just pulled inside?
Is that
No.
who it is?
I don't think so.
I don't think I've ever noticed that before.
It's probably him. It's probably the guy they put him in there to keep him, alive and
I guess
not
so.
suffering.
This reminds me of a scene earlier in the film where you have Lawrence Fishburne's character in the tank, and you get a quick look at him, but you could totally tell that it's a prosthetic. Like it's not even like a good prosthetic. It's like a dummy.
Earlier they all just look like, when you'd buy like a brand new like Stretch Armstrong.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, let's see here. My next fun fact about the cutscenes of the blood orgy. So we're not there yet.
Yeah. Oh, the blood orgy. Like I'm very aware of the blood orgy.
I will say earlier we already passed it, but I just want to say really quickly the "Liberate Me" transmission was actually misheard. It says "Save yourself," not "Save me." So that's where this all.
That comes into the film though. They realize that. Yeah.
Yep. Let's see.
Show me. I know Kung Fu.
Christian, if I turn the music or the sound up just a little, like right there, is that too loud for you? Like, is that too loud?
Okay now.
Okay.
Oh, it's going to get louder.
Tell me if it gets too loud, because I
will.
want to be able to hear this part. I think this is my favorite sort of sequence of someone being
Haunted.
Yeah. Isn't that the interesting thing about trauma too, is that, Aaron, we've talked about this in the show. How was that? Was that loud?
That was really loud.
Sorry. We talked about how you don't ever get over trauma. You find new ways to adapt to it, right? That's sort of like I think the healthy approach to trauma. And what this crew is going through, it's interesting because it's like trying to run away from something that's tied to you. It's
absolutely, trauma lives in your body, and depending on how you deal with it, depending on how you choose to avoid it or bury it, it will live in different places in your body. And it's crazy how physical like trauma can be. And it's really, I don't know. I never really considered it until I went through like a session of like somatic breathing where I was able to like, at least release a little bit of that trauma and kind of experience it like very like vividly and to like because once you release a little bit of it, then you start to understand like where it's been living in your body, and that's what's insane about it. And so I can absolutely feel and relate, feel for and relate to some of these characters for the trauma that they've been living with, just being present with them.
Right.
Yeah. See, that's him, and is the guy from the airlock. That's him in
Okay.
that
Yeah, I think you're
in
right.
that vat.
I was talking about the body on the left side of that little tunnel there, but yeah, that does make sense. I also love the framing of this scene here where you've got, these two characters talking to each other, and it looks like there's two eyes on each side of them watching them have this conversation. And once they go to that wide shot again, if they do. That seems to be the theme of this entire thing, is that this ship is living and watching them this entire time.
That's the big twist. Spoilers.
Yeah.
For the end of the film, like.
Yeah. I love the subtle sort of nod to that throughout it, right? Like it's, if you have never seen this film, you can sort of start to piece that together. It almost seems like the centerpiece here, that like the tank is almost like it's got the only bit of movement in the scene. It looks like it's like a brain or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
To me, it feels almost like a bathhouse. Like this is the only place.
It does feel a bit saunery. I kind of want to have a kind of a history of violence naked fight in this sequence.
Yeah. This is back in the days of when Hollywood actors could have like not perfect veneers and receding hairlines. Now everybody has fake teeth by 21, and you
I have to
definitely
look at a picture, but I feel like Lawrence Fishburne had that mole removed at some point.
Oh yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, this is when people look like characters.
Right. They look like people, right? Like they look like actual human beings. And I guess with the advancements of prosthetics and such, you can turn, Timothy Chalamet into, Billy Joel, or is it Billy Joel? Is that who he plays? Bob Dylan. Gosh. Yeah. Bob Dylan. But outside of that, he looks like a Greek god. So these things happen. They're starting to break.
It's absolutely his best film. Absolutely. There's no question that this is his best film.
Yeah.
Like, and it's so close to being a really, really good film. It's almost there. It's just slightly off. But in a weird way, I always wonder whether is it the fact that it's slightly off? Is that the secret ingredient that gives it the charm that it has?
Yeah, that's interesting. I think the same thing about the obvious one comes to my mind immediately is Alien versus Predator, which is not a perfect film, but I feel like every time I watch it, I have a good time with it. You know what I mean? Like it's a fun movie to watch, even if you just try not to really pay attention to a lot of the lore stuff that it messes with.
It's not as good as Killer of Killers, though, isn't it?
No, but Aaron and I, Aaron, I don't think I've told you this yet, but our Killer of Killers review has been getting besmirched by a couple key comic book figures throughout our space.
Really?
They don't like that we're so critical of it.
Oh, well, womp womp.
Specifically, Greg Katzman, if he's listening, who is a marketing manager over IDW. Shout out to Greg if he is listening. He said he didn't like our coverage of the film. To which I will say, Greg, your besmirchment has been noted. And
Here we go. Blood orgy.
Blood orgy.
Oh,
Blood orgy.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
So this scene was a lot longer initially. And they were going to, the funniest thing I found out about the scene is that they were going to hire actual pornographic actors to work their way through this scene. But of course it was cut. So
I'm hungry. Anybody else hungry?
anybody else? All right, so here we go. The
snack?
infamous blood orgy video was much longer. Parts of it are still in the scene, like the one where the crew member sticks his fingers deep into another one's eyes, a female crew member sodomizing a male crew member with an iron pipe. They were even more violent in the original version of the scene. There were also a lot more extended shots of the Event Horizon crew naked and covered in blood, having violent sex and eating / R-wording each other. A more graphic version of the scene where a crewman pulls his own intestines out of his mouth. One crew member is held and stabbed in the back of his head with a spike and part of his mouth and teeth popping out. Another crew member is crawling on the floor while others are hitting him in the legs with steel bars, smashing them into pieces as he screams in agony and crawls away in bloody pieces with legs behind him. One woman has screws drilled into her teeth.
Okay.
Another woman is restrained while her arms is broken and torn off with a hunk of metal. One woman has her breasts mauled and then ripped off and eaten by another crew member. While they're R-ing her. Another.
You already said the word.
I already said the word. Another. I'm trying to stay I'm trying to keep this monetizable if that's even possible. Another partly clotted, blood-covered woman biting her shoulder off of having her shoulder bitten off by a man she's having sex with. There's a lot, guys. There's actually a couple more that I'm just going to stop with. But point being is that it was much worse.
How are you feeling after reading that?
I feel dirty. Yeah, I want to shower, and I need someone to hold me, I think.
Yeah, I'm glad it's not in it. Aren't you?
Me too.
What?
Yes.
Now, have they explained what these tubes are?
Oxygen.
Yeah.
Power. Oxygen.
Something they need right now.
Yeah.
Why are
that they have very
if it's
little
oxygen?
of.
Why is it held in the room with the gravity sphere or the gravity engine?
I don't know. Yeah.
I'm just saying, design questions.
This scene was longer with her seeing her son.
These are, to me, they're like, like potato launchers.
Let's see here. There apparently was more backstory with DJ explaining the scar, like I talked about earlier. Jason Isaacs' character, where the scar on his chest came from from a childhood surgery gone wrong. Since then, his biggest fear is being vasected.
Dissected, yeah.
It says vasected, which sadly comes true in the end. The scene where Miller finds DJ cut open and hanging was longer and had more shots of his guts on the table, which we'll get to here in just a moment.
I feel like they did that in Midsummer.
Yeah, we got a version of that.
This is like the Don't Look Now scene, chasing that. So what they should have done is had a dwarf.
That's coffin shaped.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it really is.
Yep.
Yeah, look at that.
I
Not on the nose at all.
I can't really think of anything else I've seen Catherine Quillen in. Can you guys? I mean, I know
I've seen her in quite a bit of.
She's in Apollo 13. She's I think she's the wife of Tom Hanks.
Yeah,
but
she is.
She's her first film was American Graffiti, which was actually George Lucas's first film, right? Or was that Steven Spielberg? George Lucas.
I saw her in Twilight Zone, the movie, and obviously in let's see, Apollo 13, Zeus and Roxanne, Event Horizon, The Hills Have Eyes.
Yeah. Well, she's dead
Horns.
Now. Yeah.
I liked her in Horns. She's dead?
She's dead.
Oh, wow.
Is she really?
No, not. I'm sorry, not the actor.
Oh,
she just died in the film.
Yeah. I was like, wow.
She's still alive today, thankfully. Yeah. Yeah, her first film was George Lucas's 1973 American Graffiti at the age of 19. That's awesome. I didn't know that. There's a little factoid for everybody at home. Put that in your pocket for later. More potential underlying of we're being privy. Do we know what turns their eyes black? Is that just part of the process, you think?
Probably reefer.
It's a goddamn reefer.
Reefer madness. He's literally calling for his wife right now. He knows. And look, he's smiling.
Yep.
He did like Sam Neill plays the best kind of man losing his mind. I always whenever I watch this, I always think about. Have you seen In the Mouth of Madness?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like it's he has that kind of crazed look.
Mm-hmm.
She's got her eyes closed from in the bath. Got her eyes closed because she hasn't got them anymore.
Oh, geez.
That's something that I don't mean to get super serious out of nowhere, but that's something that's not generally explored. Well, I won't say generally. I would say that it's not often, from my perspective, explored in, situations where someone important to you has, taken themselves out. A lot of times it's the person that's left that has to sort of pick up the pieces, right? And it's almost, it plays to the idea that he's willing to do whatever.
Oh God.
Whatever to get her back in some fashion.
That doesn't seem very practical.
I mean, the practical effect is awesome, though.
Yeah.
Where's a little teeny weeny beanie?
Teeny weeny beanie. Teeny weeny beanie alert. Cooper's still kicking. That son of a bitch.
Come on the screen.
Why does he do that? Why did he just do that?
Because he don't care about rules.
You don't care about nothing.
Coffin.
Coffin. We're not seeing any facial shots. Quite telling. This scene is interesting, what we're about to see here in just a moment. Because I don't know if this is a goof or...
Uh-oh.
Let's see.
Goof troop. New boot goofing.
So they're figuring it out here. Come on, get to the other screen.
He's looking for the bomb. He's looking for the bomb.
What's in the box?
Why is he hitting it?
It's like a needle in a haystack.
Uh-oh.
What toy or doll used to do that? Uh-oh. The Furby?
I don't know.
Imagine a horror movie where it's just Furbies. That would
This
be
right here.
terrifying.
So this right here, pay attention to the screen when he opens that up there.
Right.
I think there's an abort button on the screen that he could press.
Deploy.
Right there. Bottom center. Disarm arm. Just disarm it right now. Don't put your head down and cry. He could have disarmed it. I don't know. Maybe that's just on the screen from another end, but practically that looks like he could have disarmed it right there. But who am I? I am but a man.
God damn it, Cooper.
Off he goes.
Coop's gone.
But he hasn't, has he?
No, that's right. No, he does. Yeah.
Yeah.
He somehow survives that. He survived that splash in the face too at the beginning of the film.
And then this is where we start to really lean into the cosmic horror now.
Yeah. I asked you guys earlier about Sunshine because I feel like it does a similar thing as this, where it starts off as like a science fiction film, then it sort of slowly like gets into a, thriller almost. And at the end of the film, it's just a straight up slasher horror film.
Yeah.
So W.S. Anderson did. Yeah, see, there's Cooper just floating off into space. So W.S. Anderson did Alien versus Predator.
Yeah.
And in Alien versus Predator, when they were inside the temple where everything pretty much occurs, there's like a lot of obviously like Aztec like art and structure and statues, and that's what this ship feels like also when you look at the walls, because even though it's like kind of circuitry-esque, it very much looks like almost like ancient like inscriptions and things. So it has the same familiar feeling as that temple from Aliens versus Predator.
Yeah.
He's definitely got a great eye, I think, Paul W. Anderson. I think he knows how things should look. But he's like, I tried to kind of see if we could reach out to him to kind of like if talk to him about the comic, because I feel like the guy's a comic fan.
There's that bone saw.
Yeah.
Bonesaw.
I don't know.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how much he really wants to mess with this franchise anymore.
Yeah, I think
my
it's-
read, just
yeah.
based on everything I learned from doing research for this commentary, is that like for a while he was sort of entertaining the idea of trying to get that footage and putting together a director's cut of some sort, but as of like 2017, he's like, it's never going to happen, guys. Let's just drop it. And it kind of feels like David Fincher, Alien 3 type of situation where he's just ready to move on and doesn't want to mess with it anymore ever again.
Ooh.
But it is a shame because, like as we've said a number of times, it's absolutely his best film.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Lucius.
No anesthesia.
No.
Yeah.
His ultimate fear right there. It's happening.
Yeah. What's interesting though is I was gonna say Weir is just is he, I feel like he has this almost philosophy of, better to rule in hell than serve in heaven.
Yeah. That's something.
I mean, that's so Hellraiser, isn't it? We talked about
Yeah.
This film's often like referred to as like Hellraiser in space, and it's for things like that.
Yeah.
And this is very Dead Space, like using a tool as a weapon.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It says here, I don't know if we've gotten here. Oh, actually, we're about to get here, so I'm just going to say it now. When Cooper sees the tank filling with blood, the script called him to be witnessing Weir's body regenerating inside the tank, thus the appearance of blood and Cooper's reaction, and then breaking the glass from within. The effects from the body's regeneration would never be completed, but shots were filmed of the newly regenerated, blood-covered Weir climbing through the ship. So...
Everybody be quiet. He's hunting Wabbit.
It feels like this showdown was always supposed to happen, regardless of whether a space demon took over Weir's body or not, right? Like they were at odds the entire time.
Oh yeah, 100%.
One suspicious ladder.
Do you think that if you gave Sam Neill that tool and just Lawrence Fishburne, nothing else, do you think that Sam Neill could win? Because I feel like Lawrence Fishburne could still kick his ass even with that tool.
Are we talking about them like now, like today?
No,
Or
just back then. Because Lawrence Fishburne is a shit brick house in this movie.
Yeah.
He's a unit, as the kids
What
say.
is this? What is this? What is this? Is this a glow stick?
Smelling salt, perhaps?
Smelling salt?
Yeah.
There it is.
Oh.
Yeah, nailed it. Nip Tuck, you got to get up.
Her acting there is perfect. That whole-
Have you guys ever done a sleeping salt, or not sleeping salt, a smelling salt?
Nope.
Yes. Years ago.
They are intense. Christian,
Pungent.
it's like somebody like throws like a firecracker goes off in your nose. Like that's what it feels like.
Oh wow.
It just explodes through your nasal cavity.
That is some terrible posture.
Yeah.
Is he sleeping? Oh, no, he's awake.
He's letting his eyes shrivel down. What happened to your eyes? The classic line.
Classic line. There it is. Speaking again of like, say whatever you want, but that right there is an iconic horror scene.
Yeah.
And it has been
absolutely.
since it came out. Like this whole scene has lived in the zeitgeist of horror fans.
I mean, I think one thing you can see from this film, the everyone went in with the best intentions, and like the actors obviously dug what they were doing because everyone's bringing their A game.
Yeah.
And no one's kind of phoning in on this.
No, I think it just goes to show, per usual, I don't think there's ever been a moment in history where the studio got involved or overly involved and it worked out. Like say what you want about the blood orgy scene. That sounds pretty terrible, what I had to read off there. But I think that more times than not, when you let a creative fulfill their process, it works out, and I get it. Sometimes and apparently it was because of Titanic. That was the reason why Paul W.S. Anderson had to cut out the film so much, was because they wanted to get the film out before Titanic.
Oh, right.
Which is so stupid.
So Hellraiser.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh. It's a nice try. Damn. Pew, 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 pew.
I guess we're about to get an answer to my question I had a minute ago.
Here it
Cooper.
comes.
And you got the cross window,
Yep.
Crucifix window.
crucifix window.
This is the era where light, like a
You know you got to
that
shoot
right
with
there,
one eye
sparks.
open at least. THX, the audience is listening.
Christian, I don't know how much research you had to do for like this particular thing, but when it comes to space, how long can you last? Do you know anything about that?
No.
I'm just curious if that's something you looked into.
No, look, I think the thing is, like, when you write a kind of like a science fiction, or even even a fantasy to that point, like, I think for me as a writer, I don't want to get bogged down in the minutiae of the reality. It's like asking me, like, kind of like, who changes the Batmobile tires, right? Do you know what I mean? Who cares?
Who cares?
Do you know
It's
what I mean?
Alfred.
It's as long as it feels believable, as long as it feels right. That's all you need.
Sure. Yeah, definitely.
Especially for a film like this, a story like this, you don't need it to be, realistic. I'm not Christopher Nolan.
Right.
In case you were confused, I'm not Christopher Nolan.
I've always said that's what I always tell people. I'm like, Christian
Yeah.
Ward is the Chris Nolan of comics, honestly. Like every hit is Tenet. It's Tenet times 10. It says the decompression scene where Dr. Weir is ejected from the ship is one of director Paul W.S. Anderson's least favorite scenes of the film. Because they were running out of time, it had to be shot quickly and without wide shots. So it failed to become as exciting as he had hoped.
I feel like it's still pretty exciting.
Yeah, I think it's. The shots where Miller jams the door with the tool were shot later and added just to ramp up the tension a bit.
Oh, there we go. God, come on, lady.
It's nicely done. She did some good like vacuum acting there.
Ooh, wasn't that in the nick of time? I mean, I don't know what would have happened if that thing closed on her or on his arm,
Yikes.
on her leg. Could have any number of things.
Have you guys seen the new Final Destination film?
No.
That happens.
I wasn't a big fan.
I didn't like it.
Oh.
But that happens where somebody's like in an elevator and they're like half in and bloop. They got yoinked.
Loop.
Tell me this is Cooper. Tell me.
Who forgot to turn off the fog machine?
Cooper. This dude won't die. He's like that woman in Austin Powers. Why won't you die? Let's see here. As explained by Lawrence Fishburne, the man in the flames who haunts him is Edmund Corrick, a young crew member who died after the accident with the starship Goliath, commanded by Miller. Originally, there was a flashback to this incident as Miller was talking. However, director Paul W.S. Anderson felt that Fishburne's intense performance sold it all and didn't want to cut away from it, so the scene was never filmed. It says during the climax of the film where Captain Miller fights Dr. Weir and grabs the remote detonator, the scene goes into slow motion a few times. This was born out of necessity during editing, as they found out that they didn't have enough shots of the scene to make it long enough. They quadrupled some frames and spliced these in, which explains why these shots were sort of static and not great quality.
Interesting.
Realistically, how far away do you guys think we are from this kind of space travel? Just ballpark. I know I'm not giving you really any time to look it up or even like have a
In this economy?
in this political climate.
Yeah, in this political climate?
With Elon in charge of it, I don't think so.
I would give me a year, just a good guess.
I don't know, because I feel like we're definitely going backwards with science. So I'm going to say probably at least 50 years.
50 years. Okay.
I don't even know if it's going to happen.
You think we'll never get there?
No.
We're gonna
Not in our lifetime.
We're just gonna fight, and it's never the only people that's gonna get this kind
Why
of
would that
space
blow her
travel are
back like
billionaires.
Ooh.
That's like it. That
That's The Shining.
It's The Shining, but with a little bit of Mission Impossible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's in my mouth.
I always feel like she should have been way more covered with blood there. I mean, I think she should have just been absolutely drenched.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
This is your mission. Should you choose to accept it, go to space, fight a space devil. This is the era where when you had blood all over you, you didn't have it on your eyes. You know?
Yeah.
Oh, flame guy.
Oh, he was like in X-Men.
He's my favorite Fantastic Four member.
I mean, that is very much what's the puzzle, the lament.
Oh yeah, from Hellraiser.
Hellraiser.
Yeah.
I should know that.
Yeah.
I'll lose my Clive Barker credentials now that I couldn't bring that off the top of my tongue.
Not allowed in the club anymore.
They always
Not
say
allowed
that
at all.
recall is not the most important thing of nerdom. All right, it's all. You have 3 Eisners. You've solidified your place in nerdom, Christian. They're right there.
Yep. Yeah,
I mean, I could buy one of those I could 3D print one. If I
Did you
wanted
just kick him
one.
in the nuts?
No, he cupped him.
Hey,
Hard
give him a little cup. Give him a
Gave
little
him
cup.
a hard
So that
cup.
wasn't assault. That was just hardcore sexual harassment.
Oh right. So yeah. It's all slow motion. Yeah, you're right.
Did not have enough scenes. The use of water and fire around this fight symbolizes eternal damnation and cleansing.
Mm. Put some pants on, man. You're a doctor, for crying out loud.
I mean, this is why I wanted to do this comic, right? So like, when you watch this film, it just feels like you get the tip of the iceberg of like the lore that they're trying to suggest. And like, that was the big challenge, right, in the kind of the whole synopsis of the, not just the 5 issues that we're doing now, but hopefully the kind of the larger story. Kind of like wanting to kind of like delve into what's this all about, what's the lore, what's really going on, but also still keeping a little bit of that mystery and a little bit of that, you don't want to over-explain every single thing. I mean, look at all this. This is like pure Hellraiser.
Yeah.
And this was, that idea of Hellraiser in space. This is why I really wanted to bring in Paimon. Because being a comic, you can, I wanted it to feel like a comic book with like a comic book type villain that still felt like he belonged in Event Horizon. In many ways, Paimon becomes our kind of pinhead.
Sure.
Yeah. I'm more excited because like just the character design is just, I don't know, has this, again, presence.
Mhm.
And you have nothing at this point, and the presence is already just that of almost like royalty. Like
It demands like a certain
Yeah.
amount of
Yeah.
attention, even though we know nothing about him yet.
Thank you. That's very cool to hear. Well, I mean, it was really funny because like I did the like designed him, and then like all the kind of like we got some amazing artists doing variant covers for the book, and every single one of them, except I think maybe 2, have done Paimon. Everyone, because everyone's just like, no, I'm doing that guy.
Yeah. Just to name a few, you have you obviously do a variant for this series.
Yeah,
You've got
What are you gonna say?
Well, yeah, I've got a cover, and then we've got Martin Simmons on issue 1.
Yep.
We've got Joshua Hickson on
Yep.
issue 1.
Yep.
Yeah, but we've got some, and obviously Jeffrey Allen Love is our main cover artist who's just killing it.
Yeah.
you took my thunder, Christian. I was going to name them all off and be like, haha, you didn't know, but I did, even though I have the resource here.
Do you think they have Bassett Trayson in space? Because he's going to need a lot of it.
Does he? Here, this is the thing I've always kind of wondered about this scene: is does he succeed in rebuting himself? You know, in terms of like the what he did earlier in the scene, why he has so much guilt is he left his crew behind that one time there. Does it make up for it here, in your guys' opinion?
I would say so. He sacrifices himself so that his crew can escape, where he was the only one that escaped from the previous catastrophe.
Yeah. Well, as we see here in just a moment, I mean, do they escape?
Do they?
Interesting things. And I think there's something interesting too about, I don't know how to purposely or properly organize this thought, but like when we see cosmic horror, and Christian, you will definitely have a lot better information on this, but when we talk about cosmic horror and this evil entity, and we try to rationalize it as humans here on Earth as like the devil or some other being, I wonder if it's so old that like that's just how we rationalize it, but we're not. That has nothing to do with religion.
No, it
have you
doesn't.
ever, as I say, have you ever had that thought before, or am I close to that thought?
I mean, I think if you ever read, if Call of Cthulhu by H.P. Lovecraft deals with that a lot. It's all about like the cults and religion and trying to, and like, I'm not a religious guy, but if you look at a lot of religions critically and think, how did these things happen in our culture? They're often there as ways to kind of get people to deal with scary stuff, right?
Coping mechanisms.
Exactly. And I think kind of, and then that's why there's kind of like, you can kind of like correlate them. And that's why you've got things like demons and hell in the Bible, because it's this thing. And it's that relationship is quite rich, and you can kind of mine that quite well for kind of cosmic horror. But I think the main thing that kind of differentiates cosmic horror from just regular earthbound horror or supernatural horror is cosmic horror by its nature is incomprehensible. That is why it's scary, because we cannot comprehend it.
Yeah.
Here he is.
Oh.
That's a good scream at the end.
Yeah.
And I love this sequence.
These suits are very Dead Space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And fucking Cooper is still around. That motherfucker survived.
And we close. Oh.
And now, again, as we just spoke about a moment ago, did they escape? That's sort of the larger question. I think some of the best horror is a lot of time it leaves you with more questions than answers. So, again, as we rewatched it here, and Christian, I know you said you've seen it a couple times even before today, because obviously you had to do a lot of research for your series. You seem to have like a really like nice feeling for this movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Has it always been like, I guess my main question is like, have you always felt like, even before, I would say the last like 10 to 15 years, did you always remember this movie pretty fondly?
Yeah. I saw it at a perfect age of like 21, and just, it had all the ingredients of the things that I liked in films. It had the kind of like the supernatural elements. It had the kind of like the sci-fi elements. Visuals were really cool. But yeah, it was a genuine reaction when Heather told me that IDW had the license, and it was a real, I was really passionately wanted to write it. I really felt like I could write, a good prequel for it. And I think kind of like when you're writing any licensed comic or anything that isn't a character that you own, in the same way that when I did Batman and when I did Two-Face, I don't feel like you can write those stories with characters that you don't own well, unless you love those characters, whatever they are. Because if you're just writing for the paycheck, it's only going to be so good. You have to have some affection for something to really kind of like, bring some passion and some, heart into it.
Agreed.
What I think is interesting is in the doctor, the what is her name? The one that survives with Cooper. I apologize.
I'm looking it up right now.
I know it's in the. I scrolled too far in our transcript.
But it's Jolie Richardson is the actress.
Jolie Richardson.
Name. Lieutenant Stark.
Do we ever find out what her trauma is? Everybody else has something in their past, but do we ever figure out what hers
she survived.
is? So that again, so like and we also don't necessarily see her really like hallucinate.
Yeah, she doesn't.
So to me, much like I don't know,
and neither does Cooper. So the two people that survive don't have any hallucinations.
So that's the interesting thing to me is looking at this. I feel like they slightly did escape, but much like the movie Smile, where trauma and like, you know, that was kind of the overarching message was that we all kind of have this trauma and like, you know, passing it on, like passes on the trauma. But like, that's to me, that kind of like the premise of this film is that she and Cooper were the only ones that didn't really have, so, you know, trauma. So they weren't necessarily susceptible to the evil. They didn't fall prey to it until the very end, which is, again, she now has trauma. Who knows what he was going to deal with, but she definitely has trauma after living that. And that's why she didn't escape. So maybe he did because he isn't traumatized, but she definitely didn't escape. And maybe, you know, who knows? Maybe there's going to be like a follow-up. Maybe that's what the TV show will be. Maybe the trauma allows her.
No comment, guys.
Okay.
I cannot confirm or deny.
I'm just talking and no, I'm you know, nobody has to say anything. That's just my thought.
Great minds think alike is a good way to say it. So, this has been awesome. Thank you both so much for doing this. Again, and thank you everybody for listening. Thanks for having me on my show. Christian, thank you so much for being here to enjoy this with us. I know it was we're probably keeping you up a little late over on your side of the world, but we appreciate you being here, and we thought this would be a fun way of just promoting Dark Descent. We're so excited for you and Tristan. Cool. And anything you want to say before we head out of here in terms of Event Horizon or otherwise?
Just pre-order. Get it pre-ordered, guys.
Yep.
It's like as I've alluded to, part of the treatment pitch is kind of like a much wider story, and Paramount are excited, IDW are excited, and at the moment I'm telling the story of what happened before, but I would really like to tell the story of what happened after because I think it's going to be pretty cool.
We keep bragging about everybody. Honestly, again, we're not just trying to butter up Christian while he's here, but again, he is a friend, but we're also huge fans, and we were excited to get to read that first issue early, and honestly love it. So make sure you guys go check that out. Make sure you go pre-order, as Christian said, July 14th. That's FOC.
There's not a lot of art that I would consider going and buying like pages of. There's some things that I've seen in the past that deal with like Batman and kind of like madness and like a city that's like, I don't know, something like that. But like, this is a book that there are some panels in this one that I would really consider buying like a page of.
Yeah, Tristan killed it.
Yeah. So like, man, I would say listeners / readers of this are going to be so excited when they finally pick up their issue. So highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. I can't recommend it enough that this is a book that you're going to want to like read and just visually drink in.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Oh, thank you.
August 20th. That's the
I still
official
can't
release.
believe Christian's a writer.
I know, right?
He's good.
The son of a bitch has all the talents. He's talented. He's artistic and he's creative. He has all the talents. It's bullshit. All right.
I can't sing though.
You can't sing?
I'm terrible.
Well,
You will never see me in karaoke.
You and Chris have so much in common.
I also cannot sing, but I'm also not a 3-time Eisner winner. So,
you're still young.
Yeah,
you're still young.
There's still time. All right, Christian. Well, thank you so much again. We appreciate it. Everybody, again, thanks for following us here today with our very first audio commentary. 5 years of the Oblivion Bar. I've never done an audio commentary.
Cool.
This was fun. We were supposed to do it with Batman v Superman.
Yeah, we were supposed to and never got to it. So if you want that, go let us know. We'll do it. Because I promise you, as much as I like Event Horizon, I will have a lot to say about Batman v Superman.
Go to Chris's Instagram.
We should do Alien Romulus.
Oh gosh, Christian would have a lot to say on that one. I don't know, Aaron, if you know this or not, but Christian doesn't really like Alien Romulus.
I'm still up in the air on whether I like it or not. I'm still up in the air. Like I would watch it again. Absolutely, I'd be totally down for that.
Yeah. We should just create our own mystery science theater here with Christian. Just
No, we can't do that. Chris, you're too much about the facts and not about the fun.
you're like, stop telling me about facts. I don't care about what the box office was. All right. Well, I know there were a couple hiccups here and there with the sound and stuff, so we got to figure that out still. But I definitely want to do another one of these. So again, Christian, appreciate you. We'll talk soon. Everybody listening, thank you so much. We appreciate it. We'll see you next week. Next week, Aaron, I think will be the Superman review. So if you're listening to this, that means the following Monday, it'll be our review of James Gunn's Superman.
Superman.
One of
I
us
just made
can't
that song
sing.
up.
There you go. All right, buddy. Thank you so much for listening. We
Did
appreciate
you say
it.
one of us can't sing?
Can sing.
None of us can sing?
One of us can. God damn it. Everybody, we'll see you later. Bye.
One of us can't hear.